And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Wayman versus Weatherford. Step forward.
Nicholas and Tara Wayman are suing Christopher Weatherford for trading them a defective Xbox.
I'd like the two boys up with their parents, please. Your name is Nathan?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nathan, you wanted to trade a handheld game that you had for one that you could plug into the TV.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your name is?
Caleb.
Caleb had an Xbox that he wanted to trade. You had never met him before. So, I don't know, you went on this cyberspace thing that everybody shops at these days, and the two of you got together and you drove to their house?
No, Your Honor.
They came to your house?
No, we met him at a motel that he was at, Your Honor.
About how far away do you live from each other?
Well, we were about an hour from the motel that he was
And
at.
how far were you from the motel?
Oh, we were living there.
And when you got there, Nathan, did you look at the Xbox?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you try it?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you try it?
He started up the system and we saw the controllers working and we started up a game.
Did you play with Caleb? Did you play a game with Caleb?
No, Your Honor.
Well, how did you play the game? By yourself?
Yeah.
You
He showed me how to do it, though.
And you plugged it into the TV at the motel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you traded your handheld. Did you try the handheld, Caleb?
No, ma'am. We trusted them, so we did it when they left, and it was fun.
Is that right, Nathan?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on what date, by the way, was this?
That would be October 5th.
And when did you notify Mr. Weatherford that you were not happy with the machine? On what date?
On the 5th, when we got home, and we noticed that the memory was taken out and the controller wasn't working, I tried to contact him on his cell phone, and he wouldn't answer his phone. So I tried contacting him by an email, and he didn't answer. It took a full week of me trying to contact him before he actually emailed me back. And I was repeatedly trying to contact him during that time, and he was ignoring my calls.
So it was, the answer is it was the same day?
Same day.
Because when you came home, you found out that the machine didn't work?
Correct, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You say to your son, son, we're going to wait another couple of months, I'm going to save up, and I'm going to buy you a new Xbox, but this one's going back to the defendant because it doesn't work.
I didn't know I was being scammed.
People, Judge Judy. Nicholas and Tara Wayman claim Christopher Weatherford traded them a faulty Xbox.
Okay, where is the machine now, Mr. Weatherford?
He has it.
And where is the handheld machine?
We still have it.
He's not happy.
Yes, ma'am.
He told you immediately he wasn't happy.
I'm going to beg to differ on that part. I think it was a few days after that when he left. I don't think that it was the same day.
He said it was the same day and you just didn't answer your phone.
I don't think that's true, Your Honor.
Well, we can check his phone records
Okay.
if we have to find out.
That would be great.
But he said it was the same day.
Okay.
Now, that's not too long ago. So he has a machine that doesn't work and you have a machine that does.
Yes, ma'am.
That doesn't sound fair, does it?
Oh, absolutely not.
So what do you think happened?
I'm not sure. I don't know if something happened in the process of them leaving, but when I first contacted him, so I said, I don't think it was the same day. I think it was a few days later. First thing I offered was, let's just trade back. You know, so there's no hard feelings. No, I'm not interested in that. My son really likes this. Sorry.
Just a second. Did he offer you the opportunity to trade back?
After...
No. That requires a yes or a no.
Yes, Your Honor, he did.
So?
This was over a week later.
So what?
I had bought items to get the machine working for my son. So I had
that's
already...
your problem. Is what you're telling me now that you just want money?
No, Your Honor, I just wanted the hard drive and a working controller and a headset that he had said that he was going to trade for the machine, which we didn't get.
It would have been very easy if this man said to you, listen, you're not happy with it? Let's just exchange back. I mean, I'm initially sympathetic with you. But if the man says to you, if you're not happy with it, I'll take it back, and you say no, I'm not going to help you.
Your Honor, he also said that he would give me the hard drive and he would meet up with me. So we would play this little game where he would say, I'm going to meet up with you.
You're talking to me in Greek.
Okay.
I have not a clue what you're talking about.
The gaming system has a memory. So anytime he plays a game and you want to save it, or if you want to put new games on the gaming system, it all has to go on the memory. It had a memory in it. And when we traded the system, he showed us that it worked and it had the memory in it. Then he showed us the games that my son was going to pick out. He said, take a look at these games and pick 5 games out. He said, I'm going to box this stuff up. And as he's putting it in the box, we're not watching them. I'm assuming that's when he took the hard drive out of the Xbox. So
Did you take the hard drive out of the Xbox?
No, ma'am, I did not.
He tells me his son might have done it. His son wasn't involved in any of the trade, any of the emails.
He was going to give you the whole thing back. You would have been in the same position as you were. Your son would have had the handheld. He would have had the Xbox back. You chose not to do that.
Correct, Your Honor. We chose to trade, do the barter.
No, well, you can't have it both ways. You either end up where you are, or you end up with the courts not helping you, because I'm not going to help you. If this man said to you, you can come back, you're not happy, let's just go back right where we started from. I don't have the memory. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know why it's not working, but if you're not satisfied, you can have it back. And you chose not to do that.
I printed out the email.
I'm not going to help you.
I understand.
Your Honor, can I say something?
You can say whatever you like. I'm not going to help him.
We were concerned with the Vita might have been tampered with before we got it back.
So what? That's your concern. Then you can sue him. Then you can say, I gave you a handheld. It was working at the time. Now I got it back and it's not working. Then you have a legitimate complaint. But just because you think that they might have done something to your handheld, he thinks you might have done something to his Xbox. What do you want?
My son was really excited to have the Xbox.
Well, but that's not a reason to bother the court. Come, bring it back. We both will end up exactly the way we were on October 4th.
That's not quite how it went. He said, I'll either give it back to you or I'll give you the hard drive back. And I said, I would like the hard drive because I had already made some purchases. I put some money into it.
Well, then you shouldn't have done it because that was really foolish of you, sir. Well, if you have something that doesn't work, and if I believe you, you would have to be a pretty foolish man to go out and spend a lot of money on something that doesn't work.
Well, it wasn't broken, Your Honor. It was just missing some pieces that he said he was going to give back to me.
You can't have it both ways. Show me when you went to buy things for the Xbox. Okay. Show me the date when you went to buy things for the Xbox.
Here's a receipt for the controller.
Tell me the date.
October 6th.
The next day, you told me that it didn't work on October 5th. Why would you invest money in something that doesn't work? When you said to me I was trying to get a hold of him because it didn't work.
Correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Wyman, I'm not helping you, sir. If this man said to you, you can have it back, and he's perfectly willing to give it back to you right now.
But he wasn't. And if you look at the emails that I printed out, you could...
I said to you, did he offer to trade back? And you said yes, but I had already bought stuff for it.
He said I will trade back or I will give you the hard drive.
What you said to me was, I will trade it back, but I had already invested money in it.
Absolutely.
That's your problem.
Okay, Your Honor.
That's your problem.
Okay.
First of all, if you buy something and your son tests it before you leave, you're not buying a brand new product out of a box, you're buying a used product.
Absolutely.
So it's like buying a used car. Once you leave with the used car, he didn't give you any guarantees. But if he said to you, you're not happy with it? I don't want you to be unhappy. I have a boy your age. You know, I don't want you to be unhappy. I don't want my boy to be unhappy. We'll find somebody else to make this trade.
That's not how it went, Your Honor.
You told me that he offered a couple of days later.
A week later.
A week later.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, if the machine wasn't working, sir, what difference does it make whether it was a couple of days or a week?
Because the machine wasn't broken. It was just missing pieces.
Well, then that's what happens. If you
Your
want
Honor.
to buy a new machine with warranties and guarantees, that's what you do. But if you are going to trade one used machine for another used machine,
correct,
and it ends up that you don't like the machine that you purchased once you got it home, and if in what I consider a reasonable period of time, within a week, says to you, you want me to trade it back? I'll trade it back with you. Now, your wife says, how do we know that we're going to get our handheld back the same way it was? That's ridiculous.
I could understand, Your Honor, if that was my only choice, I would have. But he liked the Xbox, and that's what he wanted. So when Chris Weatherford told me that he would either give me the Vita back or give me the hard drive,
and you say to your son, then you say to your son, son, we're going to wait another couple of months. I'm going to save up, and I'm going to buy you a new Xbox, but this one's going back to the defendant because it doesn't work.
I didn't know I was being scammed at the time, Your Honor.
You weren't being scammed, sir. If he was willing to take back the Xbox, and that's what he said to you.
Your Honor, that wasn't the only thing he did.
This is not any more of a discussion, sir. I got better things to do with my time.
Okay.
If he offered and you rejected that, and that's all I would do with you today, I wouldn't give you any money. If he says, and it's within a month of this agreement. Give me back the Xbox and I'll give you back the handheld, and we end up in the same place that we were. You don't want that. You want money. It's not going to happen.
Your Honor.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused and they step out.
When he showed him the games, he said, look over here at these games, and then he took the Xbox and he said, I'm boxing this up. That's when he pulled the hard drive out.
We were all inside the hotel room. They all tried it. We were sitting right there. He was correct. Yes, I did tell him, let me box it up.
He removed the hard drive. He also handed him a broken controller and took the good controller back at the end, and it was definitely a scam.
It's a hotel room. We were all right there. There was nothing scandalous about it.
I just feel really bad for my son because he's crushed.
My son liked his gaming system. He loved my son's. We did an even swap.
It was his money he worked really hard for. That's the sad thing.
He contacted me and said that it was broken, and I said, well, let's go ahead and swap back. He refused and said I needed to pay him for this and that and this and that. Made a few threats, and I said, well, I'm not doing anything. I wouldn't even consider it.
Keep a close eye on the person, because even though he looks like a nice guy, he could probably be scamming you.
And sworn in, you may be seated.
Mr. Smith, you and the defendant had a relationship. At some point, you were incarcerated, and it is your claim that during the time you were incarcerated, Ms. Speaks sold your car without your permission and then subsequently kept some of your property. Ms. Speaks says that nothing could be farther from the truth, that you told her to sell the car because she was taking care of your affairs while you were incarcerated. She has a counterclaim for some of the money she spent on you while you were in jail, as well as damages for what she claims it was an assault.
That's not true.
Is that the case?
No.
Perfect. Okay. When were you incarcerated?
In August of 2010.
Were you and Ms. Speaks living together at the time?
No.
She was your girlfriend?
We were seeing each other, yes.
How did she get the keys to your car?
She had got them from a friend of mine when I got incarcerated.
At your direction?
No, I didn't give the direction for her to get the car. It was a thing to where the car had got dropped off because I was incarcerated. I was going to figure out what I was going to do when I first went in. But then she came for a visit, and I told them to give her.
Don't make it up as you're going on. Make it so I can believe it.
Yes,
do you understand? She's coming to visit you, and let's get to the car.
Right. She's coming to visit me, and she said that she would take care of my affairs for me while I was incarcerated.
What did that mean? What kind of affairs had to be taken care of for you?
She said that she would go and get my car and park it for me. And I said, fine. You know, she was the first one there, so of course she was the first one. I agreed to this.
Fine. She would get the car and park it for you. What other affairs had to be taken care of, Mr. Smith?
Later on down the line, within about a month or so, she told me that she went to my apartment and started packing my things. And I'm like, you know, where are you going to put them all? And she said, well, she has space in her storage to put them for me until I get out.
Well, somebody had to do something. What were you doing? Were you paying rent on the apartment?
Yes, I was paying rent on my apartment. This was my apartment.
Who was paying the rent when you went to jail?
No one was paying the rent when I went to jail.
Well, what did you think was going to happen to your apartment?
I was going to send family members over to take care of it.
What does that mean, to take care of it?
To retrieve all my things out of the apartment, because they were talking to my manager, she was talking to my manager, and he was holding off on everything for me to find out what was going to happen with me being incarcerated. So I said,
Don't waver, Mr. Smith. Just tell me what you told Miss Speaks to do.
I told her fine. When she offered, I told her fine.
Fine.
Yes.
So she went over, packed up your stuff,
yes,
because you were going to be evicted and your stuff was going to get thrown in the dumpster if nobody came and packed it up. And she put it someplace, correct?
Yes.
What else?
After I got out, I paroled.
When did you get out?
I got out April of last year.
And during that time, who put money into your prison account? Is not an answer.
She put money on my account. My mother put money on my
How
account.
much money did Miss Speaks put in your account?
About $300.
What other bills did Miss Speaks take care of for
There
you?
were no other bills.
Okay. And how did you tell her you were going to give her back this $300?
I asked for the $300 back.
When you got out of jail in April,
she was doing it as a favor. You know, she never told me that I was going to pay her back.
In April of 2011, you got out of jail. Where did you go the first day?
We decided that I was going to parole out to her place, and I stayed there.
So when they asked you, you were going to be paroled,
yes,
where you were going to stay, you gave them Miss Speaks' address.
Yes.
Okay. When you got there, what happened?
I stayed there with her.
For how long?
3 weeks.
Now, you noticed the first day you were there, you didn't have your car.
Yes, I had asked.
Just a second.
Mm-hmm.
So the first day, you didn't have your car. Did you say, what happened to my car?
3 days into it, I asked her, can we go get my car?
And she said?
And she said she sold it.
And then you stayed with her for another almost 3 weeks.
I had nowhere to go at the time. I was paroled to there. I couldn't just bounce around so easily.
Yeah. Did you go to your parole officer and say, I want to be paroled to my mother's house? Your mother is the one.
My mother was too far away.
Really?
Yes.
Wasn't too far away to put money into your account.
She mailed it to me.
Did she?
Yes.
You know, Mr. Smith, I'm not believing everything you're telling me, sir.
Okay.
If I got out of jail and somebody sold my car, I would not share a bed with them for 3 weeks.
Well, the whole thing about it is I did not share the bed with her because we were arguing most of the time anyway. Because every time I would bring up about my car, we would get into an argument. And then I even talked to the guy that sold it for her that was a friend of hers. And he had told me the exact amount of money that he had put in her hand for the car.
Ms. Speaks, you want to tell me about this car, please?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. He's been in and out of jail the whole 5 years of our relationship. He spent more time
Listen,
out.
that is not a testament to your good judgment.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't.
That's not a testament to your good judgment.
It really isn't. And when he went into jail, his rent had to be paid. He had bills that were due.
What rent and what bills?
His rent for his apartment. Okay?
How much did you pay?
I paid $900, and I had a receipt.
That's
I'd
not
like to see
true.
it, please.
That is so not true. That's so
That
fake.
is a receipt from his rental.
That's
place.
so fake.
I also bought him a Porsche, okay? He had a Porsche, and he had the Volvo. The Porsche was not working. I had to have that towed. I have a receipt for that. And had to have it stored for 9 months till he got out. So the Porsche was stored. I paid $100 a month for that.
Can I see that, please? Where is the Porsche, Mr. Smith?
He sold it.
Shh. Where's the Porsche, Mr. Smith?
I sold it.
When?
A month after I got out.
Don't try to think of where I'm going, sir.
Nah.
You sold it in May, right?
Yes.
Where had it been in since August of 2010?
Well, the last...
No, don't look over there. Where?
No, when I finally found out where the car was, when she finally told me, it was at one of her friend's house.
That had to pay for it.
It's not true.
Now, I don't believe these receipts.
Yes,
it's fake.
And
Ms.
no,
Speaks, I don't believe these.
Those are.
I don't.
And I also have the receipts for the money I put on his books.
That I'd like to see.
And I also have the receipts for the storage.
Slowly. Well, he happens to be pretty much on the money. You put in $275 for him. He said $300.
But those are what I could find.
Well, I don't know whether
Those are receipts that I could find.
This is your proof.
Right.
Okay. So I don't believe these receipts for storage of the Porsche. I think this is baloney, which leads me to believe that maybe this is baloney also.
That is.
Show me where you took $900 from, Ms. Speaks.
For my check. I had a checking account. I
Show
wrote
me.
a check.
Show me the canceled check for his rent. This is a receipt. If you took it from a checking account, check for his rent. It should be made payable to A and B Realty or something Realty, not a receipt like you can go and buy in a store, just like you can go and buy these in a store.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't have that with me. I don't have the council check,
Well,
but I did write the check.
listen,
and he knows this.
Just listen to me. That's not my problem.
Right,
That's
okay.
your problem.
Right.
We're talking about proof.
Okay.
And when you bring me, and I have a feeling that you spent some money on him.
A lot of money.
But when you bring me baloney that you filled out.
I didn't fill those out.
Well, I don't mean you filled them out. Maybe somebody else filled them out for you. But this is baloney. These receipts doesn't even say storage for Porsche.
This is storage for his car.
I know what you say it says here. It's baloney. Its evidence is baloney.
And I also have the receipts for the storage.
Storage for what?
For all of his stuff that he had.
Okay. Now, was his property the only property in that storage unit?
No. But I am charging him half.
No, you're not. You're only charging him half if he agrees to pay half of your storage unit.
I asked him for half, and he would not give me half. And then he just told me to just keep it.
Just a second. Listen, you can't make up a contract, Ms. Speaks. That's what we're talking about. But you can't create a contract where none exists. He's not responsible to pay half your storage unit. Not unless he says to you, get the storage unit, you put in some, I'll put in some, and we'll split the cost down the middle. That's not what you said happened. You said he wasn't going to pay you for half of it. Well, that's not a contract that I can enforce. Do you understand that? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ernest Smith says ex-girlfriend Stephanie Speaks sold his car, and disposed of his belongings while he was in jail. Stephanie is countersuing for money owed, tow fees, and an assault.
Now, how could she have sold your car without you signing the title?
Ma'am, the car was bought by a friend. I gave her the money. I have the document that I do have left, the last one that I do have left.
No,
and
you're not, listen to me. Right now, you're double talking me.
Okay, I
said, how can she sell a car?
Because the title was already signed. The title was already signed by the other person. I didn't get a chance because I got incarcerated before I had a chance to change it over into my name.
So the car wasn't titled in your name?
No, ma'am, not yet. I had already bought it. I paid for it.
Show me that you bought it and paid for it, and show me a bill of sale when you bought it.
This is all I have left as a bill of sale right here. Both of us signing it.
Can I see that, Bert, please?
Yeah. And I also have the registration right here. And ma'am, I also have letters that same person mailed me, and the envelope that she mailed me that paper and the title in.
Where did she mail it to you?
She mailed this to this address right here.
What address?
My old address. Right here. This is the envelope. Because it was someone that she scared away, that she chased away,
Listen to
and
me,
threatened
sir.
them.
How much did you buy this car for?
I gave her $1,700, but turn around, put on the bill of sale. She turned around and she put $1,000 on it.
Why?
I don't know. Like I said, I never got a chance to talk to her again. I never got a chance to talk to her again after she mailed me this paperwork.
I don't think I can help you, Mrs. Smith. What else do you want from Miss Speaks?
I also have the list of the items that she has of reasons to return. She gives me a little bit at a time. I also have a letter right here from the people at the storage place that the lady that works there wrote for me.
I don't read letters from people. Is what you're telling me that your property is still in the storage unit?
No. She gave me part of my storage maybe 2 weeks ago. She gave me part of it. She didn't give me all of it. She kept things that she wanted to keep out of the storage, and I still don't have them. She came to me recently last week. She visited where I live at last week, and she told me that she still has some of my things she can bring them over the next time she comes over, okay? I have tons of text messages that'll show that too.
I'd like to see them. That I'd like to see.
And Your Honor, the bottom line with this is the problem why I'm not choosing to be with her, because she has a problem that she refuses to address, okay? She uses and she won't quit. She does what she wants to do. You know, so I refuse to continue to deal with it.
You have his clothes and his jewelry box?
No, I gave him, he has his jewelry box, he has his clothes,
no.
he has everything.
Well, this was dated.
You don't have the jewelry box?
No.
Listen to me.
Excuse me, ma'am.
One more time and you're gone. I'm unsympathetic, as you can see anyway. This doesn't have the actual date on it. You reprinted it.
I have to turn around and through the company, I have to send the messages to my email to get them, but they're actually on my phone right now. They're still on my phone.
When did you give him his clothes and his jewelry box?
The 1st of this month.
Where were you when you gave him his clothes and his jewelry box?
I met him at his place and I handed him his jewelry box and the key to his storage.
Where did you meet him?
I met him at his place on
What
the beach, at the sober living home where he lives.
Yeah?
But I got a problem.
You do?
Now I'd like to see the list of what you say she has of yours.
And Your Honor, also, to go along with it, like I was saying before, and she says she doesn't have a problem. I have pictures right here to show different, that she does have a problem.
What problem?
She uses drugs. She uses drugs,
I don't care
ma'am.
whether she uses drugs. I'm not her mother.
She uses, you know.
I'm
she
not
says
her
she
mother.
doesn't have a problem. No, but that goes along with her selling my things, you know, and she's getting rid of
I've
them.
not sold any of his things, Your Honor. I don't even want or need his things.
That's why you didn't give them back.
What kind of work did you do before you were incarcerated, sir?
Truck driver.
What were you incarcerated for?
For drug possession. For sales.
And trafficking.
It was sales.
And trafficking. Thinks he's Mr. Pimp Daddy.
I'm going to ask you only about a couple of things. He says that he had 3 desktop computers and 2 laptop computers.
They should be still in the storage, Your Honor. I
just want to know what you were
own.
doing with 5 computers, sir.
Exactly.
Well, for one, I worked on a lot of computers because before I got into the wrong lifestyle, I worked on computers for people.
And all the parts are there.
Just a second.
No, they're not.
I'm not interested. Hoover carpet cleaners.
Yes, ma'am.
2 Hoover carpet cleaners.
Yes.
Yes. I don't even have 1 carpet cleaner. And you have 2. What did you have 2 Hoover carpet cleaners for?
I have one that I had got off a friend and one that wasn't in a better shape, so I had a better one, a new one.
You know, I'm not buying this, Mr. Smith.
No, it is what I had.
I'm trafficked in a lot of things. 3 17-inch flat screen monitors. You have a lot of stuff here, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
900 DVD movies worth $4,500.
I put it at the lowest denominator, maybe at $5 a piece.
You're going to tell me about your counterclaim now, Ms. Speaks, and be very, very brief, please.
When he left, I packed up all of his things, I stored all of his things, I did have the car towed, his poor car stored, and then I had to deal with him getting out. He was supposed to go to another sober living home. He showed up on my doorstep at 3 o'clock in the morning. My daughter was coming to town. I had to pay him to get out of my house. He would not leave. Then he got physical.
Just a second. So far, we don't have a contract that's enforceable for anything. Now, you want to tell me what the physical part was?
When he got upset because I wouldn't let him stay with me anymore, and I told him my daughter was coming, he choked me and he bashed my head against the ground.
Could I have a police report, please?
No, because I did not file one because I did not want him locked up again.
Why?
Because he would have been locked up for a very long time.
So what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
If he banged your head against the wall, that's exactly what I would like.
Very bad judgment again.
You're so done. He's done with you.
He should have been done with me a long time ago.
He's done with you. This is why he's done with you. You are so done with him, and if you are a smart lady, and I don't know what you hung around with him for 5 years if he was in and out of jail, because it sounds like he's running a department store here. So I don't know what you were doing with him, but he has no reason to be near you. Is that right?
That's right.
Good. Great. So I'm going to tell you this, sir. The next time you come near her, she's going to report you to the police, and you're on parole, is that right?
Yes.
And if you're violated on parole, for how long are you going back to jail?
Probably about 9 months.
That's a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to go back to jail for 9 months,
That's
do you?
right.
Then I would stay as far away from Miss Speaks as I could.
Right. I understand.
Stay far away from her.
I understand.
You're living in a sober living
Yes,
residence?
ma'am.
Right. In your sober living residence, can you have 5 computers, 2 carpet cleaners, 3 flat screen monitors, 2 Super Nintendo game systems?
Ma'am.
Can you have all of those things?
Not all of those
Can
things,
you
but ma'am, right, as of right now, as when I replace some of the things, as I do have receipts for some of the things that I did replace, I have, in my sober living, I do have a 43-inch TV.
Great for you. You replaced, you must have
so
a good job now, that you replaced it with a 43-inch television.
Like I said, I work
Goodbye.
Please excuse, you may step out. Offensive to you.
Actually, she turned me in.
Why would I do that?
She was the one who turned me in.
If that was the case, I would have got him arrested when he put his hands on me.
She had me set up and turned in early morning.
Don't you think?
I hope that she does stay away.
You know, as long as she told him to stay away from me.
Like the judge told her to.
I'm happier than a pig in slop.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Akers, Recenti versus Bisbal. Step forward, please.
Charles Dave Akers and Agnes Recenti are suing condo owner Carolyn Bisbal for the return of their deposit and hotel expenses. The plaintiffs claim Carolyn falsely advertised her rental property.
Is your last name Akers?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is?
Recenti.
Are you a couple?
Yes, ma'am.
This is what the case is about. You decided to relocate for the winter months to Florida. You were looking for a condo to rent.
Yes, ma'am.
You found an advertisement on the internet for a condo that is owned by the defendant. Photographs of it, like the description. Put the papers down. You contacted her and you agreed to rent it. So far, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yes.
And you sent her a deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the name of the community that your condo is in?
Ocean Jewels Condominiums in Daytona Beach, Florida.
So you went to Ocean Jewels and did not end up moving into Miss Bisbal's condo because you say it was misrepresented by her on the internet that the place was disgusting and you want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
You ended up relocating to Daytona, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you ended up renting a condo in Ocean Jewels.
Yes, ma'am.
the same condo development that Miss Bisbal has her condo.
Yes, ma'am.
How much were you going to pay Miss Bisbal for her condo?
Deal was $595.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did not move into her condo because you say it was disgusting, but you moved into someone else's condo, and how much are you paying there?
We're paying $225 a week.
So substantially more than the $595 a month.
Yes, ma'am. It's a different condo. It's a real one-bedroom.
Whatever it is, it's more expensive than what you originally signed on for.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you had already brought your stuff down.
Yes, ma'am. We brought everything.
So now I have a couple of questions for you. What kind of work had you done, sir?
I'm a disabled veteran.
And the nature of your disability?
I broke my neck and my back on a parachute jump in the Army.
And you?
I own the business, the
You own a
salon
business.
business.
Have either one of you had a long history of psychiatric hospitalization?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
I ask you that question. It's a relevant question because I would try to figure out why two people would pack up all their things and leave. Where were you living?
Virginia.
In Virginia, and move to Daytona, Florida, in the promise of living in a beachfront condo that had lovely pictures on the internet, get there, and then say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to move into this condo. I'm going to move into another condo where it's going to cost me more money, substantially more money, that I'm going to have to get really quickly unless there was something psychiatrically wrong with you. I find, Mr. Akers and Ms. Racinti, that you do not have those psychiatric disabilities that I just described. You're going to show me why you didn't move into Miss Bisball's condo.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
At first, the advertisement on the internet listed as a one-bedroom.
May I see it, please?
Oceanfront condo, and
just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it says $595, one bedroom, 500 square foot, large oceanfront studios. So that's a little confusing. And then in the text it says beautiful and large oceanfront studio available at Ocean Jewels Club condo, completely furnished with a queen-size bed. So the queen-size bed was in the middle of the one room.
There was a box spring but no mattress, but yes, ma'am, and it was broken.
Okay. Do you have any photographs of what you saw when you got there?
Yes, ma'am. Those photographs are of the view and of the room itself.
Well, it's clearly a tiny studio, one room.
Yes, ma'am.
That is correct, is it not?
Yes.
What is this the view from?
That is a view from the front door, ma'am, of the condo, standing in the front door.
Standing in the front door of the condo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where is the view of the ocean?
The complex is located on the ocean.
Just a second. You have no view of the
yard view, and it was priced accordingly.
The advertisement on the internet shows the water.
Right, because the complex is on the ocean.
It's deceptive. It's deceptive. This suggests that you're looking out on the balcony and you see the beach and the water.
That wouldn't be $595. They're going for $900.
He gets his money back. That's deceptive. Listen, he may have gotten there and say, okay, I like it, and I don't know, that goes for $900. You didn't say to him, if you want an ocean view, you can find an ocean view, but you have to pay $900. He doesn't know that. That's what you described in here. That's the picture.
Pictures of the complex. That wasn't pictures of the unit.
Is that what you say in this ad, that this is a picture of the complex?
No, I have
not
6
a picture
pictures
from
of the complex.
Hey! Is that what you say? This is not a picture of the apartment. This is a picture from somebody else's apartment in the complex. Is that what you say here?
No.
It's deceptive. He gets his money back. How much did you give her?
We paid her $400 as a deposit.
That you get back.
Then,
now,
I'm sorry,
I know you want a lot more. You're not getting back a lot more, but you're certainly getting back your deposit. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Would you like
the plaintiff, your counterclaim dismissed.
Would you like to know the
deceptive.
damages that he did?
Just a second. Did he move in? No, just, you said damages.
Did he
move into this? Did he move into the studio?
No.
That he didn't cause any damage?
Yes, he did.
Oh, you know what he did?
Yeah.
He made your life miserable because he said you defrauded him, and he wanted his money back. And if you were smart, you would have given him his money back, so he stopped posting signs around the place not to rent from you. And if those are the damages you're talking about, you're not getting them. It's deceptive practices. You advertise on the internet and somebody rents based upon your advertisement, and you attempted to obfuscate the truth, which is what you did, you don't get damages if somebody calls you on it, which is what they did. They get their money back, you get nothing. Goodbye.
Please excuse you, may step out.
Thank you, ma'am.
This guy has left numerous messages, a lot of profanity, telling people deceptive things in the complex.
We were totally deceived.
I'm not a scam artist.
In several phone calls to us, she had reinstated how nice it was, that it was an ocean front, it was a one-bedroom.
60 and 80 phone calls a day.
I did call her several times. I gave her many opportunities to give me my money back.
Threatening. I've never threatened anybody, and using profanity with me. I'm not going to speak to somebody that cursed me every 2 minutes.
And I said, if you don't have it, call me and tell me you don't have it.
When he called, he said he wasn't happy. I said, what weren't you happy about? And he said it wasn't what he wanted. He wasn't what he expected.
I've seen some terrible hotel rooms in my time. Never in the United States have I ever seen a room that bad.
I had 3 people that wanted the unit, but because they gave me a deposit, I wasn't going to rent it to anyone else. I did the right thing.
That room ranks up there with like Rwanda or Somalia or something like that.
This is what it is. This is what you're getting for $595 with utilities. What are you expecting?
She sent us other pictures. And as it turns out, when we got there, it wasn't pictures of her unit.
It's priced accordingly. Everybody else is getting $700 in there.
There wasn't even a balcony.
Come and look at the unit. You don't like it, that's it.
Go see it. Go see it.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dennis versus Reinhardt. Step forward.
20-year-old Brittany Dennis is suing the father of her child, 21-year-old Kelly Reinhardt, for damaging her TV during an argument.
All right, let's just start with the story from the day that the two of you who lived together, you have a child together, you were living in whose house? Your parents?
My dad's.
Your dad's house. You had an argument. The argument was about you getting a job.
No.
Well, that's what he says.
No. What happened was I was taking care of my daughter, just like how I do every day, and he just, I don't know if he had a bad night at work, I don't know what happened, but he woke up and he mad about nothing, and he started getting in my face, telling me, oh, well, you can leave, why don't you just call your mom, that I didn't have a phone. So he was almost saying it like a joke, like, why don't you use your phone to call your mom? He wouldn't let me have a cell phone, so it was just like, he was trying to control everything. So then I said, you know what?
Nobody could control anything if you are an independent person. Work, provide for yourself, take care of yourself. Don't have children before you're ready to take care of them. Don't have children that you're not fiscally prepared to take care of. Then nobody can control you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Well, that's an easy. If you choose to have a baby when you're not ready to, and you have to move into his father's house, and you decide to stay home and not work, somebody else is going to control you. That's what's going to happen.
He said that if I had my daughter, that he would be the one to go to work, and he wanted me to stay home. That was his idea of how it worked.
How old are you? 12? How old are you?
21.
21. And how old is your daughter?
She just turned 2.
She turned 2. So when he made this statement to you, he was 18 years old, 18 and a half, that he wanted you to stay home and take care of the child, and he would go out and work. And how old are you?
I'm 20.
And you're 20. So when he had this conversation, this deep conversation with you, you were 17 and a half?
Yes.
Brilliant. All right. I don't even want to go into it anymore. It's an old story. I can't even hear my voice anymore when I talk about it. This is all about the fact that she says that you got mad during this whole brouhaha because she said she was leaving and you broke her television set.
I didn't break it.
Well, tell me how it happened.
Me and her was arguing because I'm just stressed about the fact that I got to work every single day, and she bickers and yells at me.
She and I were arguing.
Yeah, she and I.
Better.
Were arguing. And then it escalated to the fact of where she said she was going to take my daughter, started packing her things, getting ready to leave. And I just tried to explain to her one more time, just tried to work it out.
How did you explain? How did you try to explain?
Sorry for what had happened. I'm trying to work this out.
No.
And then I got pushed and I stumbled
No.
back
I don't want you to speak.
and
I
fell
asked
into
him.
the TV.
You know, I don't hear a word that you're saying. Being controlled. I have a feeling that that's a tough thing to control her. I don't have that problem. I'm still looking for the person to control me. And I'm getting very old. Now, how were you trying to talk to her?
By saying sorry and apologizing.
Sorry, like this.
And, yeah,
I just want to know how you were doing
it. I was talking to her
were you
face
standing
to face
up?
when she was walking
were you
out the door.
Yeah,
I was
see,
standing up
you're
by the
talking.
door.
Well, I'm talking, and you think that I can hear you, but I actually can't hear you. When I'm speaking, the only words I hear and the only words that I actually want to hear are my own.
Yeah.
Were you sitting or standing?
Standing.
Both of you?
Yes.
How close were you to each other when you were having this discussion and you were pleading with her?
Face to face.
And then what happened?
And then she said, no, I'm taking your daughter and I'm leaving. You're never going to see her again.
That did not
Then
happen.
I got pushed and stumbled back.
I'm going to dismiss your case. 1, 2, 3. You interrupt him again, I'm going to dismiss your case.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then I stumbled back and hit the TV and it fell and broke.
You stumbled back because?
It was a hard push.
Or she pushed you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you're his brother?
Yes.
Were you there?
Yes, I was.
Stand up. So, tell me what happened.
I was there and they were arguing, and then she was trying to leave, and then he ended up punching the TV.
How did he punch the TV?
With his hands.
What part of the TV did he punch?
Screen.
You know that for sure as you're standing there?
Yes.
That he punched the screen, and what happened when he punched the screen?
The TV fell over.
Now, if somebody said that the TV fell over because he kicked the stand, they would be lying, right?
Yes.
And because you know that he never punched the screen.
Sir. Yes, sir. I mean,
right?
Yes.
Now you can sit. You know what you said, don't you?
Yes, because he didn't see that part. What happened was...
Don't tell me what he didn't see. He said he saw exactly that part.
No, he punched the TV, but... I'm sorry.
He said he punched the TV and it fell over, right?
Yes.
Yes,
that's exactly what you saw. He punched the TV on the screen and it fell over.
Yes.
He didn't kick the TV stand, sending the entire thing crashing down. That's not what he did. He punched the TV screen.
Yes.
Right. Well, then you got to get your story straight. Because Miss Dennis says, as I was proceeding to leave, Kelly kicked the TV stand, sending it crashing to the ground.
No, what I was saying is he punched the TV, and then as he did that, when I was leaving, I was literally walking out the door. Once I seen him do that and get aggressive like that around my daughter, he was cussing, she was screaming at him, she was freaking out. Then he kicked the TV stand. Like, the TV was off of the stand is what I'm saying, and then he kicked the stand. And it was so bad put together that it was like, it just like fell into pieces.
Listen, you could say it as much as you're saying it right now. But I'm telling you, the two of you just told me two entirely different stories. He says he saw it, punched the TV screen, and when he punched the TV screen, it went down. You swore that he didn't punch the TV screen, that he kicked the stand, and as a result of kick, that's what you said.
No, I'm saying he punched the TV, and I seen that with my own eyes. And as I was walking out the front door, then I heard all this noise, which was the TV falling, then he's kicking
it. Can't help you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He did break my stand and my TV.
Didn't break the TV.
He was just in a bad mood.
I woke up and I was just mad.
And that's just what happened.
And she pushed me and I stumbled and fell back into the TV and it broke.
I left and I just didn't even want to be around that.
I was just stressed out.
He just liked to control everything.
I control some things.
And I just was sick of it and I didn't want to do that anymore.
But the majority of the time I'm not controlling those situations.
I hope that we can be friends for our daughter.
Work it out for our daughter's sake.
And be civil around her.
Road rage. Ladies and road rage. Haven't had many of those. It's usually reserved for the male counterparts. All right, Miss Hill, each of you claimed that the other was responsible for an accident that occurred. You are also claiming that you were injured as a result of Miss Evans' actions. Miss Evans says that the injuries, if any, that you sustained were a result of your own actions, and that despite the fact that she took a plea that included an assault, the assault had absolutely nothing to do with the injuries that you are claiming. She says that she pled guilty to pulling your hair and leaving the scene of an accident, which she freely acknowledges she did in an attempt to get away from you, who she alleges was a crazy person and responsible for the damage to her car. So, when did this incident take place? What time? Where were you going?
I was on my way home after leaving work. I had dinner with a friend. It was 4:30 in the afternoon on November 8th, 2011. I was traveling southbound on...
Where do you live?
In Norman, Oklahoma.
So you were in Oklahoma?
Yes, ma'am.
Traveling on?
I was traveling southbound on 24th Avenue Southeast.
I don't know where that is. Is it a two-lane highway? Is it a big...
It's a 4-lane road, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a banker.
Anybody else in the car with you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what kind of car were you driving?
I was driving a 2001 Firebird at the time.
Okay, go.
I was doing about 45 miles an hour, and there was traffic stopping in the left-hand lane to turn into a housing addition that did not have a turn lane. Miss Evans cut me off because she did not want to stop for that traffic, and she neared my car. I honked my horn one time, and after I did that, she began slamming on her brakes. Since I was going at a high rate of speed, I was easily able to pass her and get back in front of her.
So you passed her and got in front of her?
I passed her and went back into the lane that I was in, yes, ma'am.
But you passed her and got in front of her?
Yes. She did not like that, I guess, because she proceeded to get back in front of me again and began slamming on her brakes again. At this point is when I became irritated. The first time it happened, you know, a road rage incident, they happen all the time. But this woman, I feel, tried to kill me.
What kind of car were you driving, Miss Evans?
Nissan 2000, Nissan, Ford Ranger.
It was a 2000 Nissan Frontier.
What kind of car was she driving?
She was driving a 2000 Nissan Pickup.
A truck?
It's a small one. It's not real big.
Thank you very much, sir. Go ahead.
I pulled up beside her. I did roll down my window and was like, what is your problem? I mean, she was trying to cause an accident that I did not particularly want to be involved in. And her passenger and she were cussing. He was flipping me off. So I tried to get away. I pulled out in front.
Pulled out in front of her?
No, I continued driving south on that road. I turned right at Imhoff Road, which I live off of. It's where my housing addition comes to. When I turned right, she turned right from the left-hand lane because she was attempting again to get in front of me.
Don't tell me what she was attempting to do, but she followed you into that street.
Yes, ma'am. When I turned, she also turned from the left-hand lane. She turned right. I had been trying to get her license plate, but the tailgate on her truck was down. I was defensive driving, so I was pulling over to call the police. I had a brand new iPhone. I'd only had it for a month or so. Don't place a lot of calls. I do most of my communication through texting, and couldn't figure out how to push the call button on my phone. I had 911 plugged in a couple of times. But when I turned to pull over, she rear-ended me. After she rear-ended me...
When you say she rear-ended you, did your cars collide?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you say you pulled over, did you pull over to a dead stop, or were you still moving?
I pulled over and stopped.
So she hit your car while it was stopped?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She proceeded to get out of the car as I'm still sitting in my car trying to call 911. I could just hear her screaming and yelling. I didn't realize she was coming up beside my vehicle. I had the window cracked. She reached in the car, grabbed my hair, told me to get out of the car in some unpleasant terms, and furiously began shaking the window on my car, which I was afraid was going to break. I was at a disadvantage because I'm sitting in my car in a seatbelt with a phone trying to call 911.
Go ahead.
So I got out of my car. When I got out of my car...
Why would you get out of the car?
Because I was at a disadvantage. She is reaching in my car, attacking me.
Well, you're not at a disadvantage if you stay in your car, start your car, and pull out.
Everything was just so chaotic.
Okay, I'm just letting you know, Miss Hill, if you think that that was an appropriate way to react to get out of your car, I'm telling you, if I was faced with someone who was behaving erratically, I would not have gotten out of my car.
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I wish that
So you got out of your car and?
I got out of my car. She backed up and started screaming about burying her dead children. She had children that she just buried that were 4 and 7. And I was just stunned that a woman that looked this age would even have children 4 and 7. And I was just perplexed. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what this crazy woman was talking about. And I told her her dead children had nothing to do with me, that I was trying to call the police. And there are bystanders around. People are getting off of work and asked me if I needed help. And she stopped her physical attack, but she was still acting very irrational. And when I asked the gentleman to get her tag number, she said, "You're not getting my tag number," and proceeded back to her truck. I went back to her truck to try to get the tag number, as well as the gentleman in a car that reversed to try to do the same thing. At that time, she jumped in her truck. She backed up at a very high, I guess she hit a curb and nearly hit a telephone pole.
Where was her passenger?
Her passenger stayed in the truck the entire time.
That was you?
Yes, ma'am.
You stayed in the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Chivalrous. Go ahead.
So when I went back to go get it, when she began backing up, it startled me. My phone fell out of my hand into the bed of her truck. Of course, all I was thinking about this whole time was trying to call 911. This woman's insane. And so I reached in to grab my phone. It was a new phone. I didn't want to let go of my iPhone. I wish I had done differently today, but I did reach in to grab my cell phone. And when I did so, she took off at a high rate of speed with me on the side of the truck.
And at that point, you were injured?
Yes, ma'am, I was injured.
Okay.
She dragged me for about 30 yards.
Tell me about your injuries.
Well, when I flew off of the truck, I hit my head and had a hematoma on my head. That also knocked a front tooth loose that I had to have it redone. I didn't have to get a new one. They were able to repair it. I had injuries on my wrist, my left knee. I had road rash on my shoulder and my buttocks on the back. I did go to the emergency room.
And I assume you have those records?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You went to the emergency room on the same day?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
On the 8th. Okay, Miss Evans, I'll hear you.
Yes, ma'am. On the day of November, we were going to Noble on 24th Street going down.
Where were you coming from and where were you
We were
going?
coming from our home in Norman. And we went into town and we were going down 24th Street and we were in the lane that was turning into the house things.
Okay.
I looked
just a second. And you were going into town?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was the purpose of going into town?
We were going to go look at we were actually going to go pick up some tricycles for my grandkids.
Okay. And where's the bicycle store?
It was in Noble.
What street?
24th.
On the street you were on?
Yes, ma'am, but it was in Noble.
Stop. On the street that you were on, though?
Yes, ma'am. You go into Noble on that same street.
But it's on the street where this incident started with Miss Hill on 24th?
Yes, ma'am.
Stop shaking your head.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Melissa Hill claims fellow motorist Helen Evans assaulted her and damaged her vehicle during an incident of road rage. Helen says it was Melissa who instigated the fight.
Now, you tell me what happened between the two of you when you first came across each other on 24th Street.
Yes, ma'am. I was looking in the back to make sure nobody was behind me. I put on my blinker. I proceeded over. And after I got over, she came up behind me, honking her horn and flashing her lights. She pulled up beside me and she proceeded to call me to get off the road. And then she pulled back in front of me and she hit her brakes. And I just was like, what's wrong with this lady? So I did it to her. I pulled in front of her and I slowed down. I did not hit my brakes or stop. I slowed down.
Okay, so you did to her what she did
yes,
to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Then she pulled back in front of me and she hit her brakes again. And as we got up to the accident.
We're not at the accident yet. Now, she pulls up in front of you, you pull up in front of her, you slab on
yes,
the brakes,
ma'am.
she slabs on her brakes. But then at
That's
some
when
point,
the accident happened.
No, the accident didn't happen on 24.
Yes, ma'am.
The accident happened on a different street.
No, that's her road. We were on 24. She turned into Hefner Road.
That's correct. She turned
and I was still on 24.
Just a second. She turned into Hefner Road. That's where the accident happened.
Yes, ma'am, but
just a second. Now, the accident happened on Hefner Road. She made the right turn. You followed her onto Hefner Road.
Ma'am, she pulled in front of me.
You followed her onto Hefner Road.
I was going to.
You had no reason being on Hefner Road.
Yes, ma'am, I did. I wanted to know what her problem was.
No, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to be on Hefner Road.
And I did not have a phone to call 911.
Miss Evans, you're not following me.
Yes, ma'am.
There was no reason for you to turn to follow her. Right now, the only thing that happened on Route 24 is that two ladies got annoyed with each other and played a little leapfrog with their cars.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody was injured. She wasn't injured. You weren't injured. Her car wasn't injured. Your car wasn't injured. She keeps going on Hefner Road. You
yes,
keep
ma'am.
going
she destroyed my car.
You keep going to the bicycle store. She hasn't touched your car. You followed her, and if you had not followed her, you would have gone to the bicycle store, and we wouldn't be standing here today. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's easy. That's why I asked the questions. You were going to a bicycle store on 24. You kept going, you would have gotten to your bicycle store. Instead, you had this little road rage incident that was over when she made the right turn. Over.
She pulled out in front of me and turned like that. She pulled out, turned, and I hit her. I hadn't even turned onto the road.
No.
Yes, ma'am. I had not turned on to Hefner Road.
Yeah.
I was still on 24.
No, you already told me. Put your hand down, sir. You already told me that you followed her on to that road because you wanted to find out
I said
what
I
the problem
was going to.
No, That's what you just told me. You
I said
told
I
me you were
was going
following her on that road to figure out what her problem was. And I'm telling you that if you had not done that, we wouldn't be here
Yes,
today.
ma'am, I realize that.
Well, then that was your problem. Your problem, your fault. I'm not saying she acted appropriately. She didn't. She knows she didn't act appropriately.
Neither one of us did.
Absolutely correct. But she got hurt.
Ma'am, I did not hurt her.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not. I did not. I have a piece of paper here that never says anything about me dragging her.
Just a second. I didn't say that you pled guilty to dragging. You pled guilty to getting out of your car and pulling her hair, which you did.
No, ma'am, I felt guilty to
now I'll see
leaving
it.
the scene of an accident
No,
because this lady was all over my car.
Just listen to me. No, you pled guilty, actually, to pulling her hair. That's what you're
Well,
going
look
to show
at her
me.
hair. How would you not pull a head like that?
I'm going to see your hospital records.
These are the hospital bills.
Okay, and I'd like to see the conviction that she has, please, Bert. Thank you. Yes, you pled guilty to grabbing her hair and pulling it with force and violence. That's what you pled guilty
Ma'am,
to.
I don't know if I did. I was upset.
You ran up to her car.
She did this to me.
She did what to you?
She came up and tried to run me off the road.
You're not following, Miss Evans. And you may be emotionally upset about this or something else, but what I'm telling you is, what I'm telling you is, if a nut tried to run you off the road, and she doesn't look like a nut to me.
Can I say something?
But you did plead guilty to pulling her hair.
This is my witness, and I get confused because, anyway, this is my witness. Can he please talk?
Do you have anything to add other than what I've already heard?
I have lots to add.
Excuse me. I was a school teacher for 27 years.
What don't I understand?
Well, when we were going down the road on 24th, when she went to turn into Off Road, she was in the left lane, we were in the right lane, and she turned in front of us and pulled across in front of us to turn in.
And?
That's what caused her.
No.
She forced her to turn in. She slammed on her brake and she hit her because she was only like 15 or 20 feet from her.
Sir, can you explain to me why Miss Evans got out of her car?
That I don't know on that part.
When you saw her get out of her car and go up to the window and grab the plaintiff's hair.
She didn't grab the plaintiff's hair, ma'am.
Well,
she grabbed the window and her hair was on the window. That's what she grabbed, was the window.
What did she grab the window for?
I don't know.
Well, just a second. What do you grab the window for? You stop, you call the police, you wait for someone to respond, but you don't go up there and grab a window and accidentally grab the hair that's next to the window, so you would agree with that.
Yes.
And then if there's a problem, you don't leave. Now there was an accident. Can you explain to me why Miss Evans left the scene of an accident? She did plead guilty to that.
Right. Well, after she grabbed the window and accidentally grabbed her hair in the window, right, she shook her finger at her, and she started arguing back with her, so she comes back to the truck. She went in the truck, locked the door. Well, I've got pictures where she broke the door handle and trying to get in the truck. Miss Hill did that.
I'd like to see those.
They're right here. There's all the pictures right there of the truck.
I also have a court document, Your Honor, that shows that she admitted to pulling the hair and
Oh, I have
committing
those.
assault and battery.
No, I have those here.
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't admit to anything else.
Yes,
and you didn't have any injury as a result of her pulling your hair.
That is correct.
And this gentleman says that you broke the door handle trying to get into the truck.
The only time I touched her truck was when I reached in to get the phone. This woman was acting very insane. I would not try to engage her in anything. If I was going to do anything to her, I would have done it when I got out of my vehicle. She was trying to leave the scene of an accident. I was trying to get her tag number, and I never touched her car handle door.
Now, did you have your license plate out there so it was visible, sir, or was the back of the truck?
You can see it underneath the tailgate on the bumper. It's mounted right where it goes on the bumper.
Just a second. If I was standing up in a normal posture, I can look at a car and I can see the tag. Could I see the tag on your car without bending over? The answer is either yes or no.
No.
All right. Now you can sit down. Do you have the estimate to have your car fixed?
I'm actually not suing for the damages to my car. She was found guilty of that damage in the criminal court, so I'm not asking for damages to my vehicle. The judge did award me treble damages, though, because of her behavior.
Ma'am. You have that order?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Bert, I'd like you to show me what the defendant is holding up and would like to
She
know.
has been ordered to pay me $1,500, and that was the $500 deductible times 3.
Okay, so your car was covered.
Yes, ma'am. My car was covered as not a part of this case.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This has been something that's bothered me for a while, and I was glad to take it to her court. I knew that she would see right through this lady.
She started running in front of me, hitting her brakes.
I wish that I hadn't gotten out of my car.
I did not drag her.
I was obviously injured rolling down the road.
She was shaky, had road rash all over the left side.
She didn't drop her phone in the truck.
She was hanging on to it. She was all over my truck.
I did come away with my iPhone.
When someone like that drives, get away from them.
Next time I will turn off, get the away from the crazy lady, and not be involved in any road rage incidents whatsoever.
When she gets a new pair of shoes, she puts it on Facebook.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bono versus Banyak. Step forward.
23-year-old John Bono is suing former landlord Gail Banyak for the return of a motorcycle he left behind when he moved out.
Mr. Bono, how old are you, sir?
I'm 23, Your Honor.
You work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a concrete finisher.
Do you work for a company?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been working for them?
Currently, I've been employed for them for about a month. It's actually my uncle's company, and about 2 years prior, I worked for him for about 3 years.
And in between, were you employed or unemployed?
Both. I was employed for a little while and also unemployed for a short time.
When did you move into the defendant's house?
It was, I believe, the day after Christmas in 2010.
Tell me the circumstances of you moving into her house.
Basically, I got kicked out of my house on Christmas.
What house was that?
This was a house I was living with a couple roommates in another city outside St. Louis. They were selling the house, so we got kicked out of the house with no notice. Gail said I could come live with her.
How do you know her?
I am friends with her son.
Is that you?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 18, Judge.
How do you know her son?
I met him through friends through high school. We went to the same high school.
Well, but not at the same time.
No.
Clearly.
No. There was actually another boy that was living at her house at the time. His name is Mike. He was a grade younger than me. I know Chad through him.
Do you take in tenants?
I have had a tendency to take in a few tenants before, yes, in order to meet my bills.
Is he a tenant of yours?
He was for a short time, yes. He was a veteran from the Navy, and when he came back, he lived with me. And
For
that's
how
how
long?
I know John. Mike lived with me about 6 months.
What did he pay in rent?
He did not. I worked him at the house.
What does that mean, you worked him at the house?
I'm sorry, I had him do labor around the house for me for his room and board.
How many other tenants did you have at the house?
Throughout the course of the 18 years I've lived there?
No, let's say in the last year.
In the last year, probably only 3 or 4.
When did you move out of her house, Mr. Bono?
I believe it was the first or second week of June in
What year?
2011.
Well, now here we are a year and some months later, sir, and you want a motorcycle back that she has of yours?
I've actually been talking with her the whole year and a half, been trying to work something out to get the bike back, and we haven't been able to come to an agreement.
No. Well, here we're going to have an agreement right now. You moved out and she kept the bike. Is that what happened?
He moved out, he abandoned the bike, a truck, and his dog.
Let's start with the bike.
Yes.
When you moved out in June 2011, when was the next time you called her and asked her for your bike?
The very next day.
And what did she say?
I want $1,000.
Okay, so now you're going to go pick up your bike. I will give you an order. You can go with a marshal and pick up your bike.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Did you abandon your truck there?
Basically, yes.
It's not, I don't want to hear basically. I want
Yes.
you to eliminate
Yes,
that
ma'am, I
filler
did.
word from your vocabulary.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you say you abandoned your truck, what do you mean you abandoned the truck? If you can't sit up, leave. Sit up straight like a person, like a grown-up person, like you're in a court, not a bar, and then you can stay. Otherwise, you can go. Do we
Gotcha.
understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect.
Yes, I abandoned the vehicle. Only about a $200 vehicle.
Where did you abandon it?
It was parked in her driveway.
Great. And who did you expect was supposed to get rid of your garbage?
I had every intention of taking the truck.
Well, why didn't you?
Because I owed her money. She didn't want me to take the motorcycle or the
How
truck.
much did you owe her?
She said I
No,
owed her.
no. You said I owed her money.
Because she...
You said I owed her money.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you owe her?
$600.
Great. Did you pay her the $600?
No, I did not.
Terrific. Now, what happened to your truck?
I picked the truck up, and I took it home.
Great. And what happened to your dog?
She abandoned the dog, and actually my neighbors have it right now.
Just a second. When you left, did you take your dog?
I did not.
Why not?
Because I got the dog from her, and at that time there was no problem with me leaving the dog. She never told me to come pick the dog up. She never said that there was a problem with the dog staying there.
You better grow up, Mr. Bono. If you're 23 years old and living on your own, you got to learn to be a little more responsible.
I understand.
He's also going to give you $600 because after all this nonsense, madam, that's what he says. And I'm not so sure he's got a figure in mind, but that's what he says he owes you. He is not paying you for storage fees. He is not paying you for anything other than $600. I have no idea what kind of a house this is where you let young men stay and they do work around the house. Mr. Bono says he did enough work around the house to compensate for any rent that he might have been able to pay you. Clearly, you had the same arrangement with at least another of your tenants. He's going to get his bike back, and you're going to get $600. And I, madam, am going to lunch. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm a little happy I'll be getting my motorcycle back.
I'm a little disappointed because, you know, I did take care of the dog.
There was too many people in the house, you know, too many people over there all the time.
I have a tendency to, you know, lean more toward children that are having problems or what have you. I would much rather be in my house than on the street.
Like living in a frat house, you know. I was ready for my own privacy again.
Well, that was not due to me. That was due to them bringing in frat house people.
Hopefully we got everything worked out and we can be acquaintances or even friends after this.
I will continue to help people. Unfortunately, that's just in my nature. I take in strays, both four-legged and two-legged.
I think I'm going to leave here happy. I think I'll be okay.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mines versus Halsey. Step forward.
26-year-old Shaquana Miles is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Clifton Halsey, for the money she loaned him to buy a Hyundai Accent.
Mr. Halsey, where's the car?
I have it.
Where?
At home.
At your house?
Yes.
Is it in a garage?
Yes.
Is the car in running order?
No.
When did it stop running?
A couple of months ago.
What's wrong with it?
I had gotten in an accident.
With whom?
I was driving in Manhattan and got in a car accident with somebody.
Did you leave the scene of the accident?
No.
Was there a police report?
Yes.
On what day was the accident and where?
I'm not too sure about the day. It was in Manhattan. I'm not too sure. It was
well, you're going to find out, sir. It's really important because Miss Mines says the car is hers.
It's my car.
Well, we're going to figure that out because if I determine that the car is hers, I'm going to direct motor vehicles to reissue a title in her name and she's going to come and get it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now we understand each other. That's where this case is going. Got it?
Yes.
This was your boyfriend. You have a 4-year-old child together. So
yes.
far, correct?
Yes.
He is no longer your boyfriend, but you still have the child together.
Yes.
Do you see your daughter, sir?
Yes.
How often?
Every day.
Explain that to me every day.
Every day.
Well, where do you see her every day?
I go get her from school.
You pick her up?
Yes.
How?
Her school's close to my house.
So you walk to school?
Yes.
And you pick her up. And then what do you do with her?
I keep her for a couple of hours until her mother get off of work.
Keep going.
My mother takes the baby downstairs to meet her so she could give it to her.
How do you get to the house to pick up your daughter?
M60 bus.
So you take the bus?
Yes.
How did you used to get her when you worked?
Basically, he used to drive us, like, to pick her up and bring me home.
Now, you bought this car, according to you, with your money.
Yes, I had loaned him the money to buy the car because he saw it on Craigslist.
That's not what you say here. I decided I needed to buy a car so we'd have a way to get our daughter around and be able to run errands. I found a 2004 Hyundai Accent, and I decided to buy it. I could not get the car titled in my name.
Yes.
I had to put my name on another title for a friend who had outstanding parking tickets. And before you could put another car in your name, your friend had to take care of those tickets. So Clifton agreed to put his name on the title. That's what you said. So you didn't loan him any money to buy a car.
I loaned him the money to buy the car.
No. Then what you said here was a lie.
It's not a lie.
Yes, it is. Either.
Because the car still, I feel like the car is still mine because he didn't pay me back the loan for the car.
No. That's a whole different theory of a case, madam.
Okay.
Understand that. It's different if your boyfriend says to you, would you loan me money to buy a car?
Yes.
And I will pay you back the money.
Yes.
It's different if you say, I bought a car for me.
Yes.
I put his name on the title of the car because I had problems with motor vehicles.
Yes.
And he took the car. It was never really his car. It was always my car. So you didn't make a loan to him.
It was my car from the beginning.
No, listen to me. I'm not talking to you.
No.
It's your car from the beginning, sir, if you paid for it. Show me where you paid for it.
I got the bill of sales right here.
Show me where you paid for it. No, that just says this was paid. I said, show me where you had the money and you paid for it.
She gave me the money, but I went to go get the car. It was my car from the beginning.
No, it's only your car if you pay for it. Money. She's not your wife. Husbands and wives, they mix things up together. But you know what her problem is? Did your friend ever take care of those parking tickets?
No.
So that you can't have a car in your name?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, then what do you want me to do for you? I'm not giving you your money. That wasn't your deal with him. The deal was you had a car.
Well, the deal was for him to pay back my money.
No.
Because at the end of the day, I could have took the $2,400.
Not what it says here.
I could have took my $2,400 and paid my tickets off myself and paid another down payment on the car.
They weren't your tickets. They were your friend's tickets.
Yeah, but it's in my name, so at the end of the day, they're not liable for it. I am.
Let me explain something
Yes.
to you. If you deal in scams,
yes,
which you did,
you could say that.
That's how you got in trouble with motor vehicles. You see, I can make an order to motor vehicles to give you a title to this car.
Okay.
You
The car is
can't
not
register
working.
it. You can't do anything with it.
The car don't drive. It's not
I
even
don't
working.
care. That's not my problem. That
It's
would
the
be your
accident that ended
problem.
up.
If it was merely by convenience that you put the car in his name, which you say it is, that's what you say here. It was because you had certain problems with motor vehicles yourself that you let him put the car in his name. It was a convenience thing, and he knows he didn't pay for it. He says, she gave me the money.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to give you title to the car, but you can't have title to the car.
I don't want the car. I don't know what he did to that car. That car is destroyed.
I don't care. That's not my problem. That wasn't your deal with him.
Yes, it
You
was
bought
my
this-
deal.
No.
Yes, it was.
Not
it says
what
it in the
says
statement.
here.
It says money loans in the statement right there for the car.
Show me anywhere where you say that he agreed to pay you back for this loan.
It don't
Show
say
me.
agree, but it says I loaned him the money for the car.
No. I just read to you.
But it says it. I read it too.
No, it says for an unpaid loan, but that's not what it says in the body of your case, Adam.
Yes, but it wasn't just due to me, though.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I can't help you. Go take care of the parking tickets, and I'll get you your car back. Because you paid for it, you're entitled to have it back. He's not entitled to have it. Wasn't his car.
So I got to take the car as crumbled up and bummed, like the way it is?
That's not my problem. You should have thought of that before you invested money in him, which is what you did. I mean, he fathered a child. It's not as if you weren't together for a long time, and it's not as if you don't see him every day. It's not as if his mother doesn't take care of your child every day.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I got the whole picture.
Yeah, because I work late. I get off of work at late. My daughter get out of daycare at 5 o'clock. I get to work at 9 o'clock. He have to keep my daughter.
Great. Terrific.
Yes.
Terrific.
Yes.
Take care of the scam with your parking tickets, and then you can have your car back.
I don't want the car back. The car is destroyed.
Well,
I loaned him the
then
money
I
for
can't
the
help
car.
you. Then I don't know what you're doing here. Goodbye.
Pardon our excuse, you may step out.
Well, the vehicle been mine from the beginning. She gave me the money for the car. She knew it was my car.
I got nothing to say.
I don't have the car no more, so there's really nothing I can do about it now.
He stole the vehicle from me.
I got the car. It was mine from the beginning.
We both had a copy of the key.
I don't know why she's so mad.
You may be seated. Won't you folks have a seat?
Mr. Hennenkamp, your claim is that you loaned money on many occasions to the defendant, who was your girlfriend and with whom you thought you were going to spend eternity. That didn't work out. You want your money back. In addition to your money, she has a motorcycle that belongs to you, you
Correct.
say, despite the fact that you turned over the pink slip and the title to her.
Yes.
You say it really belongs to you,
Yes.
and you want it back.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start out. When did the two of you meet? Month and year?
I don't know the exact year.
You don't know the year? I'm not even asking you for a day, sir. Just a year.
Probably in 06.
Okay. And when did the two of you become a couple?
Beginning of this year.
When was the first time that you gave her money and for what?
Probably shortly after that, when I was doing some work on some of her cars that had been neglected for a while.
So she has many cars?
Her and her kids have about approximately 5 vehicles.
And is that your business?
Yes, I have a salvage yard, auto salvage yard. And,
Great. You weren't living together, were you?
No.
So you would come over to do work on her cars?
Yes. Actually, after we started dating, I think I saw her just about every day other than when she went on vacation for a couple weeks.
And you fixed her cars?
Correct.
So?
Among other things.
Well, let's start. I'm asking you, when did you make the first loan to her?
I would say probably the middle of February, end of February.
What was it for?
I bought some parts to repair one of her cars.
And tell me about the conversation that you had.
Basically...
Not basically. I don't want to hear basically. There's no basically.
She was going to pay me back. She had mentioned a couple times she was getting a tax return back. She would pay me back.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
Just a second. Let me tell you, sir. I'm going to keep going with this, and then I'm going to explain what an oral contract is.
Okay.
When's the next time that you gave her money, and for what?
I have receipts here from early February all the way up till June.
For what?
There's auto repairs on her Grand Am. She has a 04 Grand Am.
Listen, I'm not interested in the car parts anymore, sir. We're
Okay.
finished with the car parts.
Okay.
I'm going to explain to you. I asked you when the next time is that you gave her money, what you
I would say
allege she owes you.
It was probably in May. I believe it was in May. I loaned her some money to buy some clothes and stuff for riding her motorcycle.
Okay, well, tell me about that.
I had purchased this motorcycle late last summer. How
much did you pay for it?
$2,200.
Yeah.
It was a repairable. It had damage on it.
Go ahead. So you paid $2,200. You have proof of that, I'm sure.
Correct.
Good. Keep going.
I stuck some money into it. I stuck about $500 to $600 into it in getting it repaired. She had expressed interest in buying it.
What did she say to you? Not expressed. What did
Well,
she
she
say
had
to you?
tried, come in to look at it a couple times, and then she said she wanted it, and she said she would have to come up with the money.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me about the motorcycle. I'm really interested about the motorcycle for a lot of reasons. Go ahead.
Okay. In the fall, he called me and said, I found a motorcycle for you because he knew I was looking. He wanted $2,300 for it. I said, I can't buy it till the spring. And so he kept it for me at a shop over the winter. The spring came. He said he just wanted to give it to me. I said, no, I am buying it from you. I stated that clearly.
Well, you had made an arrangement to buy it from
Yes.
him. For how much?
For $2,300. I stated it clearly that I was buying this motorcycle.
Fine. Good.
And he's not giving it because I wanted the title. He said, that's fine, you can have the title. And I said, okay. I gave him some metal for it because that's what he does, scrap metal. So he buys and sells scrap metal. So he came into my place and took 3 truckloads.
What kind of place do you have?
Just my house. I live in the country on a bunch of acres.
Well, what do you mean he took scrap metal from your house?
Okay, he took, I have a list. Do you want to see
Go
it?
ahead.
I took one trailer load out. That's what I took out.
Of old cars or trucks? What? Of what?
Actually, it was a heavy tin off of an old awning from a gas station. And I loaded it up on my car trailer, and her son actually helped me load it.
Okay. What did you do with that? I mean, did
She
you
just
pay?
told me to get it out of there, and I was going to give her something for it. I had done many things for her. I bent over back. Well, she was going to pay me something, or I was going to pay her something for it. I had figured about $300 is what it was
Just a second.
worth.
So you were going to pay her for it?
Correct.
Did you pay her for it?
No.
Did you pay her for it?
I paid her for it many times. I borrowed her money, cash,
Listen.
on paper.
I understand where we're going. You don't understand where I'm going, sir. When you went to pick up this scrap metal at her house, you can't shift from foot to foot. You intended to give her money for it. That's what you said.
Correct.
And you said maybe $300.
Correct.
My question is, did you give her the $300?
No, I did not.
Okay. So he took a truckload of scrap metal and...
Okay, he took a couple truckloads of scrap metal. My
Keep
son
going.
helped him load it all up and take it out. I have an estimated price of...
It's not what I asked you. Get to the motorcycle.
And a car. I have...
Are you listening to me?
What do you want?
I said you were trying to explain to me about the $2,300 that you were going to pay him for the motorcycle.
Okay, I asked him. I got my checkbook out and I said, what do you want for the motorcycle? Because he brought it over like in April. He came over, took all the scrap metal out.
When did he take the scrap metal?
In May.
So he brought the motorcycle over in April and he gave it to you without any money.
Right.
Why didn't you take out your checkbook in April? What do you mean, huh?
Because,
what does that mean?
Because, I was waiting for my taxes to get back. That's why.
Oh, well, just a
I
second.
told him
So you said, I'm waiting for my taxes to get back. And it's very easy to ascertain. On what date did you get a refund on your taxes?
I don't remember. It was all around that time.
So in April, when he brought over the motorcycle, you did not take out your checkbook, despite the fact that you had a contract with him with regard to the motorcycle. The motorcycle was $2,300, which you were going to pay him for. He gave you the pink slip on the motorcycle in anticipation of you paying for the motorcycle.
Correct.
I still haven't heard about payment. Now let's go to the payment part. Now we're in May, and you haven't paid for it.
Yes, in May.
He came and he took scrap metal from your house.
And I also gave him a car that I have the estimated.
He gave him a whole bunch of scrap metal and
a car that's worth $3,000.
And tell me the conversation that you had.
And I said, "Is that it?" And he said, "Yep. I don't want a check from you. That's all I want for the motorcycle." I have a text message too about it.
That's all I want to see is the text message. Well, I have a text message from you, sir, that says, "I will gladly bring you back your stuff. I gave you that bike because I love you and care about you and wanted you to be happy. Remember? I gave you the title because I trusted you. Why can't you trust me? I don't want the thing back."
Because I trusted her to pay me.
Now, I want to see you ride it and enjoy it. That's why I didn't try to sell it last fall.
I did originally. When I thought that we were going to have some type of a relationship, I told her that I would eventually give it to her if things worked out between us, but I did not.
Listen to me, sir. Now I'm going to explain to you very briefly and sadly for you what a contract is.
Just in a moment. Shannon Hennenkamp says former friend Cheryl Tenyon owes for loans and the return of a Harley Davidson. Cheryl is countersuing for scrap metal he took without her permission and for harassment.
Okay. When a relationship doesn't work out and people exchange birthday presents, gifts for no reason at all, that doesn't mean that when the relationship fails, you get those things back, even though you would not have given those things to, in this case, the defendant.
Right.
You wouldn't have fixed her car, bought her parts, or anything else if you didn't plan on having a life together and a future together. If she was just a stranger, a nice lady, but you had no interest in her, you wouldn't have fixed her cars, bought the parts, turned over the title to the motorcycle. You wouldn't have done any of those things for her if you didn't plan on spending your life together.
Correct.
Or making a life together. That is not a contract. A contract is, I am going to give this to you. In consideration of my giving this to you, we're going to make an exchange. There's a method of payment. Whatever it is, there's a time, there's a method of payment. There is a contract, even though it's not in writing. What you have described to me is a broken heart, failed relationship, and now you want all your stuff back. Well, sadly, you don't get it back.
There's many
and you don't get compensated for it either.
There's
However,
many other things
what
that
I'm
gave
going
besides.
to, yeah, I know. I got it all. What I don't understand with regard to you is as follows. You have a counterclaim against him for harassment. And one of the things that I don't understand about you, hey, look here, is you say that he was controlling during the course of your relationship, that he gave you all of these things and became more and more controlling. And that happened during the course of the entire relationship, February, March, April, May. But then you say to me, well, because I'm going to read your answer. Even though he was controlling and he was becoming a little weird, the final straw was on June 2nd when I reluctantly borrowed Shannon's utility trailer to haul something. What does that mean? I reluctantly borrowed his trailer.
I didn't not want to have to. I had to borrow his.
No, you didn't. There's nothing that you had to do. The only thing that you have to do is go to a hospital, take your children to a hospital.
I know.
Yeah, that's not an answer. That's taking advantage of a guy who's got it bad for you, and you know that despite the fact that you are going to end up him in the end, you still do the one last thing. I reluctantly borrowed his trailer. And then you claim that he came through my house and stole a lot of property from me, and you want to be compensated for this kind of harassment that he has done to you, making phone calls to you because he feels like, hey, he feels like a fool. He feels like you took him for a ride. If you know that he feels like you've taken him on a financial ride, then what you do is, if what he wants is, it's not going to make him totally whole, but if what he wants is the ultimate slap in his face, which is the motorcycle, you would have said, you know what? Didn't work out. He loved me and he wanted me to be happy. Here's the motorcycle back. You didn't do that. That would have ended his harassment.
No.
Well, you don't know that until you try. Until you say, listen, it didn't work out. You have the medal. That's all I have for you. I don't want the motorcycle. I know you put some money into it. I know you paid for it. I know you fixed it up for me. I'm going to give it back to you. Here's the title. I'm going to sign the title over to you. And we're not having anything to do with each other anymore. That's what a nice lady would do.
I bought from him.
No, you didn't. Did you pay him for fixing all your cars? Did you pay him for fixing all your cars? The answer is no. Did you pay him for your daughter's bed? Hey, did you pay him for your daughter's bed for college? I read your papers. I read his.
Text messages that say he does not want anything for him.
Listen,
he took my cars. I didn't ask him for anything.
I'm giving you my answer with regard to your counterclaim because I'm giving you Zippo. Because if you were really afraid of him and if you really wanted him to stop annoying you, you would have at least tried to say to him, listen, I know you feel like a jerk, so here's your stuff back. You didn't do that. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. Hey! No, that's not how we do it here. Parties are excused. You may step out.
She used me and took advantage of my wanting to help her.
I told him right from the start I did not want a serious relationship with him.
She's done it to many people before. I've had people come up and tell me that.
After a while, it started controlling.
She's going to keep on doing it.
Run.
Stay single.
You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Ms. Cochran, you lived in an apartment with the defendant as a roommate. Who else lived there?
My boyfriend at the time, Nathan.
You had a lease?
Yes, we did.
All three of you?
Yes.
When did the lease begin?
The lease began for us in, I believe, September.
Was there security deposit?
Yes, there was.
Show me the lease.
I have this paper saying that I paid $199 security deposit right there.
Okay, I'd like to see that. Well, it says somebody paid $199.
Yes.
You, Joseph, or Nathan. Do you have a check?
No, I do not.
Did you pay security deposit?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
It was split up, roughly about $75 each.
Oh, well, how do I know who paid the security deposit?
He actually did not pay the security deposit because I was living in the apartment previous to when they moved in with two other friends, and they were the ones that paid the part of the security deposit with me.
You were living in the apartment first, not your boyfriend, not the defendant.
No.
And you have no proof of any security deposit.
Only that.
And you didn't get it back, I assume?
No.
Let's talk about the car. You're all living together, the three of you, and you wanted to vacuum the apartment.
Yes.
You didn't have a vacuum.
No, we did not. My previous roommates that I was living with took theirs.
You didn't have a vacuum?
No.
Your mother had a vacuum.
Yes, ma'am.
According to you, you asked him to get the vacuum so that you could vacuum the apartment.
Yes.
And he said, fine, I'll go to my mother's house and borrow the vacuum so that you can vacuum the apartment. And the only way for him to get there was by taking your car.
Yes.
Because he didn't have a car.
Yes.
He took your car and had an accident.
Yes.
And you want him to pay for your car because you had no insurance.
I had insurance. It just didn't cover the accident because I wasn't the driver.
You had collision insurance on a 1994 car? Impossible.
I had liability insurance.
Well, that's different. That means if you hit somebody, the somebody is covered by your insurance because most states require you to have liability. But most people don't carry collision insurance on a 1994 car unless it's some sort of a special James Bond car. Why do you think he's responsible for paying for your 1994 car when he was on an errand for you?
When I let him borrow the car, I told him that he could go to his parents' house, get the vacuum, and then come back, which is like maybe a 20-minute trip at most. And he went off course, went to pick up something from Cody's house and ended up on some back road. And that's where he ended up totaling my car.
So is what you're telling me, Miss Cochran, you said, I am giving you my car. These are the parameters of what you can do. You can go and pick up the vacuum cleaner from your mother and bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you told him?
Yes.
I don't believe it. She didn't tell you that, did she?
Nope.
Of course not. She just said, here's the car, go bring the vacuum cleaner.
Well, after he totaled the car, I went to the hospital to go see him, and he was very apologetic, said it was an accident, that he was really sorry, and that he told me that he was going to sell his car, he was going to get a second job, and he was going to pay me back for the car.
Oh, well, let's see if that's something that he said. Tell me about the accident, sir.
That is not what happened. On the way back from my parents' house, not only the...
Did you have the vacuum in the car?
Yes, ma'am. It was on the way back from my parents' house. Not only was her car old, bald tires, windshield wipers pretty much didn't work. It was a dark, rainy night. We were heading back. Cody was being a prankster, joking around.
Who's Cody?
He was my friend at the time.
Is Cody here?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyways, on the way back, he was playing with the hose from the vacuum and kept hitting me with it. And at the time, right when I turned to him and tried to tell him to stop, that I'm trying to focus on driving. Right when I went and turned to him and asked him to stop, the car went off course, and that's when it got totaled. So I don't owe Deanna a dime. None of this is my fault. This all could have been avoided if my car didn't get impounded by Cody 2 days prior to that for a DUI. So that's the whole reason I had to use her car.
You know, I'm beginning to be more sympathetic with her position. After listening to you, if you would have kept your mouth shut, you would have been home free. If somebody is messing around, and Cody, you're not the boyfriend, right?
No.
You're just a friend.
Yes.
If he's messing around, and that's what you said.
Yes, ma'am.
Stop the car and put him out. I guarantee you he would stop.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if you said to me it was a rainy night, her car was not in good shape, it was just an accident, it was nobody's fault, windshield wipers weren't working, it was raining, whatever it was, went off the road, and I was hurt, we'd be home free. But when you're fooling around in somebody else's car, then you have a responsibility. Stop the car, put him out. Because it was just as likely that coming in the opposite direction, if this moron was doing what you said he was doing, you could have had another car coming from the other direction with a woman or a man coming back with their 3 children. And instead of going off the road and hurting yourself, you could have killed them. Then you would have been really sorry. Put him out. Is that what you were doing, horsing around?
No, ma'am.
No. Stand up and tell me what you were doing.
That night we were watching Sunday Night Football.
Just tell me what you were doing in the car. I don't care.
I was
what you
riding
were doing.
shotgun. I was riding shotgun. We picked the vacuum up from his parents' house. We were on our way to my house to pick up some clothes. And
Clothes for what?
I was going to stay the night at his house for the night.
And?
I was riding shotgun. He was driving too fast on a wet road, lost control, flipped the car.
Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
I have a picture.
Just a second. Just a second. And this is your witness, right? This is your witness.
Yes,
It was a wet night, right?
Yes.
And it was an accident, right?
But I think it could have been avoided if he wasn't driving as fast as he was.
Who knows?
Yeah.
He wasn't cited for driving too fast, was he?
No.
No. But he's your witness, and he says he was not fooling around, right?
Yes.
You want me to believe him?
Yes.
I believe him. I believe him. He was not fooling around. He's not responsible for your car.
I believe that Joseph is responsible.
No. Do you understand? He tells me that that's what happened. That they were horsing around in the car. Then he's responsible. Your witness says there was no horsing around. It was just a bad accident. Are you following me? Are you following me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I have a picture of the car if you'd like to see it.
No. Your witness tells me it was a bad, wet night, and he went off the road. That's what he says. You want me to believe him, right?
Yes.
It's your case. I believe him. He's not responsible for your car. How long were you in the hospital?
I was there for about 3 days. He was in more critical condition I was. He was in ICU for about 4 or 5 days.
Back up. You were in ICU for?
I was in ICU for 4 days and in the hospital for another day after that.
Did you sue anybody?
No. Insurance covered most of my medical bills.
Whose
and
insurance?
Her car insurance, Wawanisa, and then it went to my health.
Insurance covered it because she had liability.
Yes.
Great. You can sit down. Problem is when you lend your car to somebody, Miss Cochran, you didn't actually lend the car to him. He was acting as your agent. You wanted him to do an errand for you. He was accomplishing that errand for you. And unless there is some gross negligence on his part, which you haven't established because your witness tells me it was just an accident, he's not responsible. Unless he, of course, promised to pay for the car. Did you do that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, he did. On multiple different occasions. And he also told me that his insurance would cover my car completely. And he told me that I should be receiving a check in the mail around December for about $4,000 for the value of my car. And he also told Nathan the same thing.
$4,000. Did you submit a claim to your insurance company?
Yes, I did.
You did? And
they just covered our hospital bills. They said because she didn't have any collision insurance and or liability that she's out of luck.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Petoskey Jr. totaled her car and destroyed their apartment. Joseph claims the car accident was not his fault.
all right, let's get to the next part of this nonsense. The next part of this nonsense has to do with the fact that you say he trashed the apartment.
Yes, he did.
When was your lease up?
Our lease was up in May 1st.
When did you move out?
Me and Nathan moved out the end of March.
Did you pay April's rent?
Yes, we did.
Show me.
I don't have.
Who paid April's rent?
I did.
Show me.
I don't have that.
Where do you all think you're coming today? To a beach? His defense is you left the apartment 2 months before the lease was up and you didn't pay rent. And he was stuck with the rent for the next 2 months. Right? That's your defense. So very easy. All you have to do is bring me checks for the rent. Where are you coming from? You brought pictures of a wrecked car. I believe the car was wrecked. He was in ICU and he was in the hospital for 3 days. How much money did it cost the insurance company for your accident?
They settled for about $15,000.
Settled with whom?
Me.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. Give us some money.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He just said that he was at the hospital and that my car had been in an accident.
I just lost control of the car.
He was just driving too fast, and I was just hoping he didn't crash, and he almost killed me.
Just rolled it down a hill into a bank.
Every time it rolled, every time it hit the top side of the vehicle, it landed on the passenger side, so it basically just crunched me down.
Next thing I knew, I was just calling out, trying to find help.
I was upset. I didn't know what was going on. We immediately rushed out to the hospital.
None of what he said was true. Don't talk to him.
There is no friendship.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mandel versus Fury. Step forward.
Adam Mandel is suing his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old Elizabeth Fury, for a loan to pay association dues.
Mr. Mandel, you and Miss Fury were a couple for a period of time.
Yes.
You met her, she was employed at a family business?
Is it a corporation? I just own an interest in the corporation. I never received a check, so no, I don't.
What?
It's owned by a corporation, so it's not a family business.
I said she was employed by a family business. The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Why does everything have to be such a mitzvah? And that's how you met her?
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that some 2 years ago, you advanced her, by way of a loan, $2,000.
Correct.
And she hasn't paid you back.
Correct.
Where have you been for 2 years?
I was actually trying to collect the money from her, and she kept telling me through email that she would pay me back, and so far nothing has come up, so now we're in court.
I would like to see those emails. As soon as I get them up here, I'll get the story. Is what you're telling me in 2012 was the first time you started to have conversations about repayment of this $2,000? Because that's all I have, is 2012. Okay.
Yes.
So now the story is you moved into a condo that Miss Fury was living in. The condo, according to the papers that I have here, was owned by Miss Fury's father. Her arrangement with her father was that she would take care of the association fees. You had been living prior where, sir?
My father's.
At your father's house. So you moved from your father's house, and your father is involved in this family business, is that right? Which is a bar?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Miss Fury was working in the bar as a bartender?
Yes.
Correct? So you moved into Miss Fury's apartment and paid no rent while you were there?
Correct.
She was paying the association fees. You had no expenses. Problem was Miss Fury got behind in the association fees, and in order to, according to you, catch up, you gave her $2,000.
Correct.
Now, when did you move into the apartment, Mr. Mandel?
September of 2010.
And how long did you stay there?
I stayed there until April of 2011.
So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. At 8 months.
Yes.
And how much rent did you pay?
0. We actually made a deal to where I would be paying for the cable TV, and I have documentation for that, as well
I'm just
as...
asking you, how much rent did you pay?
0.
0.
Yes.
And was it a nice condo?
It was nice.
It was nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Where are you living now?
My own home. I bought a house in Big Lake.
Good. You pay a mortgage?
Yes.
How much a month?
Roughly $900.
Is that reasonable for rent or mortgage? Is that reasonable in your judgment, or is that expensive?
I guess it's expensive.
What would you say is reasonable? Give me some idea of moderate.
400.
400.
Yeah.
So you had a moderate rent for the 8 months that you were living with Miss Fury. You would have paid $3,200 in rent.
My new home.
And that was in April of...
Yes.
And did Miss Fury move in with you?
She did.
And how long did she stay there?
She stayed there, I believe, until February of 2012.
Is that correct?
Yes.
How much rent did you pay?
None.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. You have 11 months rent-free. That would be a wash. So, Miss Fury, ball is in your court. Now I've got the drill. You lived rent-free, he lived rent-free, except that he's out $2,000. Talk to me.
When the incident happened with the association fees, he offered to give me the money so that my dad wouldn't have to have the judgment.
Not he offered. He doesn't know that you're behind in the association fees unless you tell him.
Yes.
So you had to tell him at some point. Now, I know it's 2 years ago, so it's a long time ago, but I actually can't fault Mr. Mandel because you lived together until April of 2012, so he really wasn't sleeping on this case. You know, you lived together, you weren't paying rent, he wasn't paying rent, but now it's over. So you said to him...
I told him that the association was taking my dad to court for the past due association fees and that I didn't have the money to pay them.
Hold on a second. How long had you been living in the townhome?
About a year.
And the association fees were how much a month?
$117 a month.
Well, then part of the association fees were accrued before you were even living there, when your father was there.
He didn't move in when he first bought the house. I think it was
I don't
in June.
care whether he moved in or not, but you weren't living there, so part of the association fees that were delinquent were your father's responsibility.
Okay.
Well, you telling me, I'm just doing the math.
He bought the house in June of 2009, so the association, we paid it for the first few months, and then I couldn't pay it starting in about September of 2009, and so it accrued from September of 2009 until the lawsuit happened.
Until 2010?
Yes.
That's not $2,000.
There were lawyer fees added on top and late fees for the lawsuit.
Judge, would you like the documentation? I have it right here.
I would, actually. So, Miss Fury, truth is that you and your father became delinquent on these association fees before Mr. Mandel moved in.
Yes.
All right. So, go. I want to know why you don't owe him the $2,000.
When he gave me the $2,000 to pay it off, he told me not to worry about having to pay him back, that, you know, we were a team and we would, you know, fix it together.
Well, what did you do to fix it?
Well,
you just took his $2,000.
I didn't do anything, but yeah.
You know, team works together.
Yes.
So what did you do to fix it?
I didn't do anything to fix it.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I would feel differently if you lived with her in her father's condo where there were $100 a month fee. You live there rent-free. It would be reasonable for you to pay $400 a month rent, $300 a month rent. So if it cost you $2,000 in the 8 months that you lived there, and it was 2 years ago, goodbye. But then she moved into your house, and she lived there much longer and paid you no rent.
Correct.
So that was clearly what your arrangement was, that while you were living in each other's premises, you weren't going to be paying each other any rent. So this was clearly something that was not a joint debt. If anything, it was yours. Is this your father? Mm-hmm. It's yours and your father's debt, not his.
Yes.
Pay him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I liked it. She's a great person. Who is? Judge Judy, of course.
He once told me he had cancer. And let me believe it for like 5 hours before he told me that he was joking.
I know what she's talking about.
He thought it would be funny.
He's a very bad person as far as... He's very manipulative.
He just doesn't tell the truth. I mean, he lies a lot.
I just know that in the end, heal those.
I guess I have to be less gullible.
No more loans. But you know what? They are nice people. I have to say that. Dad's a nice guy.
Try to identify people who lie sooner, I suppose. Not trust people so much.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ratner versus Geringer, step forward, please.
Kate and David Ratner are suing their former babysitter, Brooke Geringer, for an unpaid loan and for the return of a portion of her wages.
Mr. and Mrs. Ratner, you hired the defendant who you knew. Tell me how you knew her to babysit for you.
I've actually known Brooke for a very long time. Our families were friends growing up. I actually babysat her when she was a kid.
When did you hire her?
We hired her in October of 2011 to begin working in November.
You have one child?
Yes.
How many days a week was she to babysit?
She was working basically 5 days a week. We're both teachers, obviously except for days when there was no school in session.
Okay. And what was your rate of pay?
We paid her $200 a week. It was $40 a day.
And that was a flat fee?
Correct.
Okay. It is your claim that she owes you some money because she asked for an advance.
Correct.
She really, in effect, asked for a loan.
Yes.
When did she ask for the loan?
We had paid her in advance because she said she needed the money for different things. We paid her for June of 2012 in March. Then starting...
Just a second.
Okay.
So in March...
of 2012, we paid her June paycheck.
At that point, she had been paid through the work she would complete in June.
So how much did you advance her in March?
We gave her all of April, May, and June payment.
Okay, so $600 was the advance. When did she stop working?
She stopped working for us the second week of June.
Okay, so that she, according to you, owes you for certain monies that were not used as babysitting services.
Right, well, there was $200 for a week that she did. In addition, we also loaned her $800.
Then I'm really not concerned about a partial week. I'm more concerned about the loan that you say that you made to her. When did you make her the loan?
We gave her small amounts in April of 2011. She told us she had money in a CD that would expire in May.
How much did you give her?
We gave her $600 in April and then an additional $200 in the first week of May.
What did you need that money for, Ms. Jones?
I needed it. I had car payments, I had loans and stuff that I had needed to pay off, stuff that unfortunately my father and other people were supposed to take care of and never came through with.
Okay, so these people were very nice to you and they gave you $800.
Absolutely.
We have those cases.
She acknowledges you gave her $800. $600 when?
$600 was in April.
April what?
I don't have the date.
I mean,
there was $150 April 16th, $250 April 24th, and then there was an additional $150 on May 1st.
And when was the $200?
The $200 was May 7th. At that point, she had said that there wasn't as much money in the CD as she had thought, and she wanted to know if she could borrow the additional.
So you explained to me why you don't owe them that money.
After they had lent me the money, yes, there was a week total that I didn't work for. In addition, there was a period of time in April and May where Kate was going through some stuff and she hadn't been working at all either. She was home. So I was basically there taking care of her, not taking care of Kate. I was taking care of the baby, but I was also there for Kate as well, emotionally.
Oh, who cares? Who cares? If you spend an hour, you spend an hour. If you spend an hour with the baby, that's fine. If you spend an hour with the baby and the mother, that's fine. That's still an hour. Keep going.
I was going about 45 minutes early to an hour early every day. And
you owe her $800. What else?
There was the $200.
Nonsense.
There was the $200 that she had not worked for. We paid her for a week that she didn't come in the last week of June.
Why didn't you go in?
I was having medical problems myself. I was unable to come in.
Well, then you owe them that money. They paid you for that week.
I have paid them back so far $220.
You have paid them back $220?
I have paid them back $220.
Fine. Then you only owe $800. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. That's all.
All right, Judge, excuse, you may step out.
She had lied to us repeatedly about being able to pay us back, saying she had the money.
Kate had asked me to...
It turned out she never had the money.
Take out a checking account and overdraw it to pay back the money.
I mean, I know that my daughter was in great hands.
She even had, at that point, gone as far as then saying...
But when someone lies to you over and over again, you start to...
That she thought at one point that she...
worry about the trust.
Wasn't sure if the baby had been in good hands at one point.
I'm very glad that we were able to recover the money that we had lent her.
I knew that the baby was in good hands. The money was one thing.
Not to lend people money.
Taking care of the child was another, and it was two totally separate issues.
You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Mr. Turrieta, can you tell me how long you dated Miss Garay's mother?
I dated her for about a year, Your Honor.
From when to when?
From January 2011 until approximately the end of March, April 2012.
Did you work together?
No.
Did you work with Miss Garay?
Yes, Your Honor. The store I run, I got her a job there in January of 2012.
You got her a job doing what?
Selling furniture as a sales consultant.
You managed the furniture store.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was she a good employee?
Sometimes, Your Honor.
What does that mean?
If I didn't know her personally, I would have fired her a long time ago. But because I know her and I feel sorry for her, she still works for me.
And she still works for you?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much do you pay her?
$1,200 every 2 weeks.
And when you say you feel sorry for her, why do you feel sorry for her?
Because at the time I got her the job, she was only 18. So the kind of money that she could make, I wanted to teach her like discipline and good work habits so she can be successful in life. But I think for the job, she's too immature. And also with this truck situation, that's the reason why I want to let her go, but I can't because it would come back on the business. I think if I let her go because she ruined my truck.
What do you mean it'll come back on the business?
Well, because she can say, hey, I want to sue the company, or hey, he fired me because I blew up his truck, I overheated his truck, so that's why he let me go, not because of her actual work.
Now I understand it, Mr. Turrietti. You are really caught in a vice.
Yes, Your Honor.
Woo! She's got you in a vice. See, everybody knows about HR, human resources. Everybody becomes an expert. Now, while you were dating her mother, you used to let her borrow your truck.
No, Your Honor. She's never borrowed my truck. During work, when I get there, I don't leave because I'm the only person there that's in charge. So if I can't leave the store, I would let her use my truck to go get lunch. She doesn't even leave the parking lot. It's in the same...
She borrowed your car.
Yes.
She drove it with your permission.
To get lunch, yes.
And then at some point you say she took your truck without your permission and caused a great deal of damage when it overheated and the engine blew up.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why don't you tell me about when that happened, sir?
On May 18th, she had asked me during the day while we were at work if she can borrow my truck to move a mattress because she's moving out of her mother's house to her cousin's house. Originally, I told her, yes, I'll think about it, ask me later. But she said, is it okay if I can go pick up her friend in Lodi, which is another town? And I said, no, do not take my truck. Leave my truck there at work. I don't want you to use my truck. I had left the store that night at 6. A friend had picked me up because I was going out of town to a comedy show. So
Just a second. Yes. So at first you said that she could.
Correct.
She wanted to move a mattress to her friend's house. Mm-hmm. But then she revised her request because she wanted to take your truck out of town into a different town?
Yes, and also because she was going to have passengers in my...
हेलो दोस्तों, कैसे हो आप सब लोग? मैं आज लेके आया हूँ आपके लिए कुछ और कुछ नया। देखिए दोस्तों, आज की डेट है 2/5/2026। अब तो कौन सी डेट है वो ज़रूर कैलकुलेटर में चेक करें। 2026 का आज पहला महीना और पहली डेट है। मैं अभी बैठा हूँ फ्री, तो बना रहा हूँ टाइम पास के लिए कुछ वीडियो। आप भी टाइम पास करिए, हमारे लिए बनाए रहिए और मिलते रहिए 2-3 मिनट अगली से। देखिए दोस्तों, बहुत ही शानदार, लाजवाब, लेटेस्ट ये सभी वाक्य गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर ज्वेलरी में जोवा मिलते हैं। तो एक बार और भी हमारी चैनल का विजिट कीजिए और भी वीडियो देखिए। दोस्तों, ऐसे तो मुझे पहले वीडियो बनाने में बहुत ही डर लगती थी, लेकिन अभी क्या टाइम पास करने के लिए वीडियो प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूँ तो डर नहीं लगती। तो आप भी फ्री बैठे तो ऐसे वीडियो टाइम पास के लिए बना सकते हो और अपलोड कर सकते हो, कोई की दिक्कत नहीं आती। और कमेंट करने में तो आपको बिल्कुल कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी। लाइक करें, शेयर करें, सब्सक्राइब करें, फॉलो करें, जो भी आपकी इच्छा है वो करें, लेकिन हमको सपोर्ट ज़रूर करें। जैसे आप कहाँ से हमको देख रहे हैं वो कमेंट ज़रूर कीजिए, और अभी आप क्या कर रहे हो वो भी कमेंट ज़रूर कीजिए। हमारे पास एक हमारा बहुत ही खूबसूरत फ्रेंड आने वाला है, तो इसको बुलाते हैं। ओ भाई इधर आओ, देखो भैया, ये बहुत ही खूबसूरत डिजाइन वाला फ्रेंड है। इसका मुंह देखो कितना अच्छा और क्लियर, लाइट वेट। इसको बोलते हैं अम्बा भाई। अम्बा भाई नाम है ना आपका? इंग्लिश में बोले तो मैंगो भाई। इसको इंग्लिश में बोले तो मैंगो भाई। मैंगो भाई इज वेरी क्यूट एंड लाजवाब इन सब पाकिस्तान कराची। मैंगो इज वेरी हाई प्राइस इन पाकिस्तान कराची। दिस इज इंडियन रुपीज ओनली। हाउ मेनी योर प्राइस?
माइनस की जा 28 रुपया होने
दिस ईयर माइनस से 28 रुपये। देखो ये भाई बहुत ही शानदार ट्रेनिंग कर रहा था, कुछ में तो माइनस हो गया था, इसलिए 28 रुपये में 28 रुपये में बहुत ही परेशान हो गया था। 2-3 हज़ार 28 लाख का करेगा तो क्या होगा इसका?
एक मिनट ये मैं बढ़ो।
हाँ देखो, और भी ये बता रहा है
अरे मैं 85 रुपया माइनस।
हाँ देखो, बहुत ही 85 रुपये माइनस कर रहा है, तो बेचारा बहुत ही परेशान है। कितने खोए? 85 और 28 रुपये, 135 रुपये एक दिन की इसकी मजूरी। हाँ, एक दिन की मजूरी इसकी 35 रुपया है, और 3 दिन का प्राइस शेयर बाजार में खोल लिया था। दोस्तों, शेयर बाजार आपको जो आता है तो करना, नहीं आता तो नहीं करना, क्योंकि वो बहुत ही हैवी है, इसलिए इसमें कोई, मैं तो नहीं करता शेयर मार्केटिंग। ठीक है, शेयर मार्केट क्या है मुझे पूरा जानकारी नहीं है, इसके बारे में मैं नहीं बोल सकता। थैंक यू, मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो में।